And here we are back at the Church of the Muzzle Flash. Today, what we're talking about is the Book of Leib. And as I've said in looking at the first sentence in the Book of Leib, Genesis 1, we have seven. Seven being the predominant number of interest to all, which the researcher Ivan Panin back in the 1890s, 1900s discovered. But this is not the only thing that he's discovered in the book. This goes all through the book. Now, recently, Harvard scientists using the English language and artificially assigned numeric values to the English alphabet. They had a potential vocabulary of over 600,000 available English words to choose from to construct a sentence about any topic. They compared these to the limitations of word choices in the biblical Hebrew language, which has only 4,500 available word choices, and the writers of the Old Testament that the writers of the Old Testament could use. Despite their advanced mathematical abilities and access to computers, the mathematicians were unable to access. Through their computers, the mathematicians were unable to even come close to incorporating 30 examples of multiples of 7 as found in the Hebrew words of Genesis 1:1. So how do we explain this? Well, as I said earlier, apparently they had computers, but they couldn't have. Well, why not? Why not? Just because somebody tells us that we can't doesn't mean that it isn't true. If I had told you 50 years ago that we were doing this in a studio, you'd have laughed at us because this was physically impossible. And if I were to have told my friends back then that we would have already had men walk on the moon 20 years ago, they'd have put me away. Yet this is true. This is 29. When are we going to, as a people, wake up? Now, the number 7 permeates the totality of Scripture because the number speaks of God, divinity, perfection, and the perfect order. The actual number 7 appears 287 times in the Old Testament. 7 times 41 is 287, while the word seventh appears 99 times. This is really hard reading, and even with sunglasses on in these rooms, it's still hard to see. So 7. In addition, the word 70 is used 5 times, giving us a total of 56. Now, this is all of Ivan Panin's work. He discovered literally thousands of these mathematical patterns and associations throughout the books of the Old Testament, and there are a number of associates and myself that have spent years going through the various books of the Bible, looking at various aspects of it. One of the people who's dealt deeply into this manner is an individual that I mentioned earlier, and his name is Carl Munk. He has set up a grid which is the same as our navigational grid, which is used by our airliners and by NASA, except it's more accurate. Because it's more accurate, the status quo doesn't want to admit that it exists, but whether they want to acknowledge it or not, Carl has written many, many books about this, and we're going to be fortunate enough to be able to present some of his written material. And when we get this up the way we want it, we're going to be able to have him and many other people in person here to discuss the sciences of the 21st century. And this will be all being brought to you by the Church of the Warm, by the Church of the Muzzle Flash from Warm Mineral Springs, Florida. In conclusion, we can go on about the Book of Leib or the Bible for forever, but we're going to close by looking again at Genesis, and we're going to be looking at the chapters in which we discuss, or we're told, what Noah did when he constructed the ark. Now, in Genesis, we read about Noah constructing an ark upon which he would load one of each species, a male and a female, and in so doing, after the flood, he would be able to repopulate the earth. This is the way the book reads. Chapter 6, Noah built an ark. Now, in chapter 6, it tells us that the ark was 300 by 50 by 30 cubits. But up until probably 30 years ago in the work of Louis Bell and Karl Monk, no one knew what a cubit was. And I'm not going to tell you what a cubit is because that's going to be the subject of another of our lectures regarding the Bible. But when you take the 30 by 50 by 30 cubits and you multiply them together, you come up with the diameter of the earth. And this gives us a whole different interpretation of the Bible. And what it's telling us is the earth is also a ship containing two of each species, a man and a woman. Now, if the people that wrote the Bible had computers, what are they trying to tell us here? Is this a spaceship? Is our solar system a spaceship? Are we part of an exploratory program that came from somewhere that we don't even know about? Well, this could all be very real. Because in 2012, according to the Mayan prophecies, we are going to supposedly experience a change of density. What does exactly this mean? Well, according to the current astronomers, in 1998 we entered a phase, which is also prophesied in the Bible, where we and the solar system are in perfect alignment with the galactic center. Astronomy, mathematics, physics, chemistry, DNA, biology. This is what the book of Job is all about. This is why it was not supposed to have been read by the profane. And we here at the Church of the Muzzle Flash are taking back our inheritance. We know the computers have allowed us now access to information that up until this point has been hidden. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's no longer hidden. The Church of the Muzzle Flash is bringing it forth. If you think and want to participate in what we're doing, there's a number of ways that you can. You can become a member. You can donate. You can be supportive. My name's Ray Stoner. I'm one of the spokesperson for the Church of the Muzzle Flash. I want to thank you.